¿Qué horas son, mi corazón?
Te lo dije bien clarito.
Permanece a la escucha. Permanece a la escucha.
12 de la noche en La Habana, Cuba.
11 de la noche en San Salvador, El Salvador.
11 de la noche en Managua, Nicaragua.
Me gustan los aviones, me gustas tú. Me gusta viajar, me gustas tú. Me gusta la mañana, me gustas tú. Me gusta el viento, me gustas tú. Me gusta soñar, me gustas tú. Me gusta la mar, me gustas tú. ¿Qué voy a hacer? Je ne sais pas. ¿Qué voy a hacer? Je ne sais plus. ¿Qué voy a hacer? Je suis perdu. ¿Qué horas son, mi corazón? Me gusta la moto, me gustas tú.
In 1990, the census made this graph that depicts the Hispanic population in the U.S. As you can see, most of the population is in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California, and southern Florida. This graph shows the Hispanic population of 2010, and it looks as though not much has changed.
I've been in Paraguay, Argentina, Mexico, and Honduras. And everywhere that I have gone in Latin America, I've been treated very well. And I think that's in due part because I've always spoken Spanish. And even if I didn't have the words to speak correctly, I still tried. And I think people appreciated that, and that's why they treated me so well.
Do you know anyone who has never been to the U.S. and has a different perspective about the U.S. than you?
Oh, I know lots of people. And unfortunately, their perspective is shaped by TV. And so they get a very superficial understanding of what the United States is like.
What do they think? That we're like good or we're evil?
I think it can go both ways. You can get a very different view if you're watching Jersey Shore than if you're watching, let's say, the news.
Do you... Question number 1. Have you ever been to a Hispanic country, and did the people there treat you differently than in the U.S.?
Yes, I have been to Paraguay, Brazil, Argentina, and Mexico, and they have treated me very differently.
How?
Well, they expected me to be exactly like them, so they'd run up to me and ask me questions that I wasn't really sure about, or they just expect me to act the same as them, but I wasn't, so it was very odd, but they were nice to me, kind of.
Or she went to Acapulco for a while. She was in 2 different places. I don't remember what the other one was, but she was where she was staying at. She went to go see some friends across the street, and as they were coming back to to where they were staying, they were house families. The Mexican police stopped them and stuff, and they took all their money.
47 million in the year 2030. This is not a zero immigration level, however. This is replacement level immigration. That is, replacement level fertility is when you have the same number of people being born as are dying each year. Replacement level immigration is when you have the same number of people coming in as leave each year. Right now, about 200,000 Americans leave the country permanently each year. This is what the Census Bureau tells us actually happened in the last 20, 25 years. Now, as you can see, our population growth has doubled over what it otherwise would have. This red represents every immigrant who came since 1970, plus their descendants.
This is a clip from the longer video, Immigration by the Numbers, featuring Roy Beck, who talks of statistics that predict the future population and its disaster due to third world people, or immigrants.
And we must make decisions now for our children's and our grandchildren's future. If we allow this to happen, that future will be foreclosed. Now, what can we do? It's very simple. Congress merely has to lower the number back to where it was in 1965.
Due to racism, many stereotypes and assumptions were made of anyone who looked as though they were a Hispanic immigrant living in America.
There was a couple years back when, like, illegal immigrants were first coming around, and, like, for some reason everybody in America believed that every Hispanic was, like, an illegal immigrant, so they would all be made fun of, like, you're jumping the border, you're an alien, blah, 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 so...
I had a neighbor once who was a policeman who told my husband, "You're not half bad for being a spick." He's in jail now. Not my husband, the police officer.
They're treated differently because they're Hispanic?
Yeah.
Like on the playground, do you see them?
Some people would ever tell stories about how their family would like rent a house, but they couldn't because the landlord wouldn't let them because they were Hispanic. Because people think just because how you look you're Hispanic. Like you might be from South America and they'll say you're from Puerto Rico or Mexico.
Today, we see many accusations towards immigrants. Many Americans blame immigrants for taking jobs that was rightfully theirs, the jobs that they didn't know or didn't care about to begin with. Stephen Colbert, a talk show host, is featured on C-SPAN 3 with an opening statement on this topic.
Good morning. My name is Stephen Colbert, and I am an American citizen. It is an honor and a privilege to be here today. Congresswoman Lofgren asked me to share my vast experience spending one day as a migrant farm worker. I am happy to use my celebrity to draw attention to this important, complicated issue, and I certainly hope that my star power can bump this hearing all the way up to C-SPAN 1. As we've heard this morning, America's farms are presently far too dependent on immigrant labor to pick our fruits and vegetables. Now, the obvious answer is for all of us to stop eating fruits and vegetables. And if you look at the recent obesity statistics, you'll see that many Americans have already started. I don't want a tomato picked by a Mexican. I want it picked by an American, then sliced by a Guatemalan, and served by a Venezuelan in a spa where a Chilean gives me a Brazilian. Because my great-grandfather did not travel across 4,000 miles of the Atlantic Ocean to see this country overrun by immigrants. He did it because he killed a man back in Ireland. That's the rumor. I don't know if that's true. I'd like to have that stricken from the record. So we do not want immigrants doing this labor. And I agree with Congressman King. We must secure our borders. Of course, I'm sure Arturo Rodriguez is saying, who then would pick our crops, Stephen? First of all, Arturo, don't interrupt me when I'm talking. That's rude. Second, I reject this idea that farm work is among the semi-mythical jobs that Americans won't do. Really? No Americans. I did. As part of my ongoing series, Stephen Colbert's Fallback Position, where I try other jobs and realize that mine is way better. I participated in the UFW's Take Our Jobs campaign, one of only 16 people in America to take up the challenge. Though that number may increase in the near future, as I understand, many Democrats may be looking for work come November.
Most Americans do believe that Hispanic immigrants have been trying to take our jobs, but as Stephen Colbert was saying, not a lot of people would actually be willing to take these jobs. One of the many contributions that South America has given us is a taste of their culture. Many of us have not even thought of what it would be like without their culture. Food, music, art, dance, language, and so much more. Hispanic immigrants have been around long enough for us to say that their culture has taken a big part of our lives. In conclusion, I'd like to say that without Hispanic immigrants, America wouldn't be the same. After all, America is the melting pot country.
like steel, and I felt complete. And now my body fades behind a brush charade, and I'm obsolete.